Hello, my name is Derek. I can't trade, I can't bank, and I want to go there. So why am I here? Well, during all the Slayer from last episode, I found out that I'm actually really close to 99 attack, which gives me a really nice benefit that I'll talk about later. Plus, now that I'm taking a break from Slayer, I want to go back and knock out 99 attack since it'll take longer to get it passively. So I've been spending the last 10 hours in game here at the Ammo Crabs to get that done. And here it is, 99 attack. That is the 8th 99 on the account, by the way. And here is the cape. The benefit of having the attack cape is that it acts like infinite Warriors Guild tokens, so if I ever want to get a new Dragon Defender on demand, that becomes a lot easier to do. That's going to come in handy when I start grinding TOA later, since I'll want a Defender, but not the one from the stash unit, because I'd need to keep the Slayer helm on me, which I don't want to do. Also, since I'm here, today was the release of the Combat Achievements rework, where everything is based on points now, so you don't need completion of an entire tier to get the rewards for that tier anymore. So this means that in my case specifically, I now qualify for the easy, medium, and hard rewards. That is because there were some bosses that I just really did not want to deal with in the lower tiers, but I have a lot of harder, higher tier tasks to make up for them, and now those count. So there we go, the Gommel's Hilt 3. The biggest benefits here for me will probably be boosted pest control points and the reduced God Wars dungeon KC requirement for when I eventually go back to God Wars. So what now? Well, like I said earlier, I want to go back to the Tombs of Amascut, but there's one big wrench in the plans there. Long story short, due to an unfortunate mishap with a RuneLite plugin that bugged out and disconnected me during a solo Chambers of Xeric run, I lost my stacks of noted brews, restores, and stamina potions. I've been slowly building the stacks back up since then, but before I go back to raiding of any kind, I really want to just focus on getting back to respectable levels of noted supplies. And I think since I'll be working on those potions anyway, I'm also going to be going through my other herb seeds as well, notably Catentines, Ranars, and Torstals. So right now I'm sort of multitasking as much as I can. I'm making Ultra Compost to prepare for all the herb farming I'm going to be doing. I'm collecting secondaries like white berries, and I'm also running laps at the Relica course to get Marks of Grace for Amylase for the staminas. So yeah, I guess it's going to be a bit until I'm ready to re-enter the Tombs of Amascut, but I think it's going to be worth it, so let's get farming. You know what? Something that would actually help make this process nicer is the Arty Cape 4, so I think I'm going to go for that. The only additional skills I need for that are 2 more smithing levels so I can boost +5 to make a rune crossbow, and to do that, I think I'm going to try out the Giant's Foundry for the first time. And here I am at the Giant's Foundry. Time to get the number 2 smithing record and The Giant's Foundry was added to the game last year as a middle ground that's faster XP than just smithing bars into items and cheaper than smelting gold bars. And surprisingly, it's doable for UIMs too, mainly because you can just buy the supplies needed from the Varrock and Prifddinas armor shops. The process is pretty simple. You just buy Addy and Mithril armor from the Prif shop, minigame teleport to the Foundry, do the minigame like normal, and then teleport back to Prif to get more armor. Alright, here's the first level coming in, 85 Smithin'. I'm buying the molds as I go, which increases the XP rate because it improves the quality of the swords. And here is 86 Smithing. I didn't end up getting enough points to unlock all the molds, but I got most of them. I'll definitely be coming back here in the future though, this is really fun. Honestly, I do more now, but the cash stack is still not doing very well, so I think I'm just gonna leave it here. And now it's time to get that Arty diary done. Making an RCB in Witch Haven and New done. Doing a lap of the Arty Agility course, done. Pickpocketing a hero, done. Turning public chat off when I get to the fishing trawler, done. Getting and cooking a manta ray from the fishing trawler, done. And there we go, casting Ice Barrage on someone in Castle Wars is done, and the Arty Elite Diary is completed. Let's go get the cape. The Arty Cape 4 has one major benefit over the previous one, which is that I now get infinite teleports to the farming patch north of Ardoin. That's going to make the herb farming a lot nicer, since I won't have to run from the fishing guild on every herb run. I also get a 50k XP lamp, more Marks of Grace from the Arty Rooftop course once I eventually start doing that for real, and I can now hold 140 coin pouches from Arty Knights that was added kind of recently. Okay, with that out of the way, I'm going to continue making Ultra Compost and collecting Marks of Grace for Amylase crystals. I already have the white berries that I need, which is pretty nice. And there's 140 Marks of Grace traded in for 1400 Amylase crystals. That's going to be enough for all the super energies I have in my bag, so that'll actually free up another bag slot, which is pretty cool. And there's the last of the Ultra Compost that I'll need for farming all my herbs. I still don't have the bottomless compost bucket, by the way. That would have come in really handy here since it triples the amount of Ultra Compost you have, but oh well. Okay, so with that done, I think I'm gonna actually start farming this stuff now. In between farm runs, I'm gonna be collecting snape grass and red spider eggs, and then once I have all of those, I will start killing the giant mole between runs. That's easily gonna be the longest singular grind of this whole thing. I'm gonna be looking at like 900 kills to get all the bird nests I need for the brews. I'm trying not to think about that right now. There is all the snape grass I'm gonna need, and that is all the red spider eggs. Time to start killing this mole. The giant mole is the easiest boss in the game. Seriously, it is the easiest boss to kill. All of its damage can be blocked using Protect from Melee, so you take literally 0 damage fighting the boss. It has exactly one mechanic, which is that once it's below half HP, there's a chance every time you attack it that it'll teleport to a random location in the lair. A lot of the time people will use the Darox equipment set for this, since it has a very low attack speed but very high damage per attack, but the downside to that is that you have to keep your HP low because of how that set effect works. It gives you a damage boost that scales with your missing HP. I don't really want to do that since it would be a massive pain to re-gear if I accidentally let my prayer run out and die, so what I'm going to do instead is just range it. I'll be able to spend less time running because of my attack range, and I can also safe spot it on the terrain, so the only prayer I have to use is offensive prayers to kill it faster. Also, in case anyone was wondering, yes, it is better DPS to use the Shadow, but no, I'm not going to do that because it is way too expensive. I have a Corrupted Bow of Ferdinand, so the ranged method is going to be entirely free. In terms of drops, there is absolutely nothing special on this boss. It has a pet that drops at a rate of like 1 in 3,000, but I already have that. The reason I'm even killing this thing is that it has a guaranteed drop of 1 mole claw and between 1 and 3 mole skins. These mole parts can be traded into Wyson the Gardener for 1 bird's nest each, which is the secondary ingredient for Ceradomin brews. And that should be it. 927 mole claws and 1839 mole skins, for a total of 2,766 mole parts. Definitely the longest single mole grind I have done so far on this account. For reference, all I've been doing in the game for like the last few days has been herb runs and the giant mole. Should be enough for all the toad flax I just farmed, so let me go ahead and death bank, which will free up a ton of inventory space to make these herb runs a lot less annoying, and then I'll show you what I'm going to be doing while I farm the rest of these herbs. And here we are at the Motherlode Mine. This is something I've been wanting to do for a bit now. For some background, a while back I did a Motherlode Mine grind to unlock the full Prospector's outfit for the Falador Diary, but after that I sold a few of the outfit pieces to unlock the upper level of the mine. I want to go ahead and buy those items back, which should be a lot faster now that I have that upper level unlocked. It'll also be some nice AFK mining training as well. Ooh, 83 mining here at the Motherlode Mine. I think I'm probably going to be getting at least one more level while I go through these herb seeds, and that's nice to get some AFK mining XP since this is my least favorite skill in the game. And there's the Prospector helmet for 40 golden nuggets, and there is the boots for 30 nuggets, which completes the set again. Let's go get that full set. For reference, the Prospector kit gives 2.5% bonus mining XP, which is not a lot, and it normally wouldn't be worth it to unlock it, but because it's a requirement for the Falador Diary, you pretty much have to because of the rewards you get from that diary, especially on a UIM. And at this point, I'm actually going to change how I'm doing this. I got the outfit recompleted, and I don't need any of the other rewards that you can buy with golden nuggets, so I'm just going to be dropping the pay dirt on the ground instead of cleaning it. That should be slightly more XP per hour. Oh, and the reason I'm even still doing Motherlode Mine is because it's basically the only AFK mining method in the game that I can do until 92 mining, and no, I don't count Volcanic Mine as AFK. Dude, I completely forgot you can get this from the pay dirt at Motherlode Mine. I got the Rock Golem pet, holy shit. So one thing that's kind of cool about this pet is that it's one of the ones that you can transmog by using items on it. I think I'm going to do the Day Alt one for now. I really like that shade of blue. Alright, and there it is. Lovely. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Queen Nefertiti? Oh, god damn it.
The funny parade! It's the funny parade!
And there's 84 mining at the multi-level marketing. I think I'm just gonna go for one more level here since 85 is gonna be a pretty big deal, and I'll explain why once we're there. And 85 mining. This is the level for mining runite ore, but way more important is the fact that 85 mining gives you a huge boost in the mining puzzle in TOA. For reference, at 84 mining, you do 10 to 12 damage to the pillar per hit, and at 85, you hit 17 to 19. That is a huge increase, and it means I should be able to consistently finish that room in one cycle. 85 is also the requirement for the Diary Cape, so really there's only one more major unlock before 99, which is 92 for Amethyst. It also means I'm done training mining for a while. And finally, that is the last of the herb runs. I just pulled everything out of the death bank, so now I'm gonna re-death bank everything, and then I'll get started on those potions. Okay, getting to the end of the super defenses. This is the simplest type of potion that I can make since it's just noted unfinished potions and noted secondaries, so I can just do this half and half method with unnoting half of an inventory of each. It's the exact same process for the prayer pots and super restores, so I'm just gonna do those now. Alright, that is all the basic potions done now. There's one more easy type of potion to do now, which is staminas, so I will do those next. And that is the staminas completed. Those are pretty easy since you can just unnote a full inventory of super energies and the secondary stack, which means it's more AFK time than the half and half method. Alright, now it is time for the more annoying types of potions. I think the next one I'm going to do is super combats. If you've never seen this on a UIM before, then get ready since this is one of the silliest UIM skilling methods that there is. Cabbages and onions. I have a sack of 5 cabbages and a sack of 10 onions. These act as inventory filler, so I can basically take up 5, 10, or 15 inventory slots at once. This means I can easily unnote equal numbers of all the components of the potion since there's 4 of them: super attacks, super strengths, super defenses, and torstals. So I can get 5 of each into the inventory and make 5 potions per rotation. So I'll see you once this is done. 92 herb lore, the first and only level I'll be getting here, and I'm also pretty much at the end of the super combats. And now for the one that I've been dreading for a bit, the Ceradomin brews. Let me show you how those are going to work. Finally, all these mole parts that I get from the giant mole come in handy. I can trade them into Weiss and the Gardener for 3 boxes of bird nests. One of them is for empty nests, which is going to be the easiest to go through. One of them is full of ring nests, which I'll have to drop all the rings, and one of them is seed nests, which I'll be dropping most of, but not all of them. So here's the process for the empty nests, which there are 277 of them. When I already have half an inventory of brews from the previous rotation, I can pull out the nests, decant the brews, crush all the nests, and then unnote some unfinished potions and combine them. Okay, that was not too bad, but the empty nests are by far the smallest stack. Next up is the ring nests, which is basically the same, except now I have to pull out all the rings and drop them before I can crush the nests. Gotta do this for 415 ring nests. And that is the last of those. For the seed nests, which is going to be the remaining 2,074, I brought the seed box out. Some of these seeds are going to be useful to me, so I'm going to be keeping them, mainly the herb seeds, and then I'm also going to go through all the higher level tree seeds that I get from this for more farming XP and maybe some Hespery seeds. And there we are, finally done with all the potions. I'm going to put all the stats and everything on the screen so you can pause it if you want to see the details of the last 8 or so hours of my life. Okay, so this clip is gonna kinda be out of nowhere. I have no segue into this, but I've been doing some AFK stuff during my downtime, and I ended up getting just a little bit carried away. And there's 99 defense, how about that? That's also max melees on the UIM, so I'm pretty much never gonna be coming back to the ammo crabs ever again on this account. The defense cape, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty useless. It basically just acts like an infinite ring of life, so if you ever get hit to under 10% of your max HP, you'll get teleported to your respawn point. Not really something I could ever see myself using, but hey, 99k for completionism's sake, I guess. And now, with all of that out of the way, it's time to get to the fun part of this video. Raids 3, the Tombs of Amascut, one of my favorite pieces of content in the game. Jagex absolutely killed it with this raid, really fun mechanics, it looks and sounds great, and they've introduced the invocation system too. Invocations are settings that you can toggle on to add new raid mechanics or make existing ones more difficult, and in return it increases your raid level, which increases the amount of rewards you get at the end of the raid, and it also increases the chance of getting a unique. I'm going to be starting with the invocation list you see on the screen now, since that's what I'm familiar with and it'll serve well as a warm-up, but I think I'm going to bump up the invocations soon now that my gear is better from when I was doing this before. Now, I've already gotten 2 uniques from TOA, Yes, that is extremely lucky for my kill count. One is the Asmumpton's Fang, which is a notoriously accurate melee weapon, and the other is the mega rare of this raid, the Tumican Shadow, which is the best magic weapon in the game by a mile, and arguably the best weapon in the game entirely. But for this grind, I'm actually going to be going for one of the most common unique items, the Lightbearer. This thing has exactly 0 stats, but it has a passive that doubles the rate at which you regain special attack energy. This is going to be absolutely huge for the Chambers of Xeric in the future, when I'm Dragon Warhammer specking all over the place, and it's also going to be good for future raiding at raids 2 and 3. There's also one more special type of loot that I can get, which is the gems for the Karis Partisan, the Jewel of the Sun, the Breach of the Scarab, and the third one. The Jewel of the Sun would be the best thing for me to get outside of the Lightbearer because it completely changes the way you do this raid. It has a special attack that uses up 75 spec energy and 50 prayer points instantly, but gives you a full heal, an overheal, cures poison and venom, and restores all of your run energy and stats. It basically makes it so you never have to bring healing items into the raid ever again. The Breach of the Scarab would also be cool to get as well. It adds an extra 33% accuracy against Cowpites and Scarabs in addition to the 33% damage buff from the base Karis Partisan, and it's also the only gen that's usable outside of TOA. So if I ever got this one, it wouldn't be the most ideal one, but it may convince me to go back to KQ and maybe try and get a second Draken Pickaxe, I guess? And the third one. Right now I'm going to be getting back in the hang of this because it's been a bit since I've done any TOA, so the clips in this video are just going to be that process of getting back up to speed, and in the next video I'm going to be diving into the mechanics and strategies I'm using here. So with that out of the way, let's get raiding. Man, I am actually kind of surprised at how easy this is on the UIM compared to like my main. I know the obvious thing is the Shadow, which I don't have on the main, but I think the stats on the UIM are also contributing a ton to how smooth this is going. Having max combat stats except for prayer is definitely helping me out a ton. This is the loadout I'm using, by the way. It's working out well for me, so I'm probably going to keep this loadout unless I end up getting the yellow gem. If that happens, then the loadout will be changing dramatically. I'm also really glad I finally went through a ton of my supplies that I've been hoarding in the bag, since I actually have enough space to keep all the rewards I want to stack up, with extra room to do things like bagging the blowpipe. Oh, and I am not actually bringing in a super combat, even though I have the noted pots for that. I'm actually just pre-potting before every raid, and that lets me use that super combat dose for the 2 rooms that require melee, and then I get the mid-raid supply drop so I can just use salts for the rest of the raid, so it all just works out really nicely. Ooh, combat task, Tomb Raider. That is the one for 50 KC, cool. And no purple. Now that I'm 50 raids in and things are still going really easily for me right now, I think I'm just gonna bump up the raid level a bit. For now, the only change I'm gonna make is turning on the Insanity Invocation, which makes the final phase of the Warden's fight a lot more deadly. The attacks come much quicker, and you have to basically play perfectly on the skull attack to not take massive damage. In exchange, the raid level goes up by 50, which is huge. For reference, before this change, I was getting about a 1 in 43 chance for a unique on every raid, and now it's 1 in 33, which in the grand scheme of things is a really big deal, especially when each raid takes half an hour. It basically means that'll save 5 hours per purple on average. The downside is that now it's going to become a lot easier to die at the end of the raid, which if that happens, it would tank my points a ton. So yeah, as you can see from this clip, things get pretty intense here at the end with Insanity enabled. It's also kind of awkward with the Shadow being a 5-tick weapon since it doesn't line up well with the attack cycle, so you have to skip ticks a lot. It's still way better than basically any other weapon here though. The Shadow normally multiplies your total magic attack and damage bonus from all your gear by 3, but in this raid in particular, it actually multiplies it by 4. So yeah, the Shadow is pretty busted in general, but even more so in this raid. I'm using it at Akka and all phases of Wardens. I'm also not sure if it's better damage at Z-Back, but it's close enough to my DPS using range, so I would rather just do that to save money, and, using the Shadow is super expensive, so I would like to do that. And there is the end of the first Insanity raid. No purple. Oh man, that is a lot of runes. TOA just gives so many runes out, it's wild. The soul runes are definitely the best to get though, since it'll help maintain the shadow charges. I wanted to show off one bit of cool tech for solo TOA here, since not a lot of people know about it, and that is the guaranteed perfect Krondus rune. If you follow this path that I'm taking, you'll easily be able to water the plant twice before the crocodiles reach it. If you position yourself so that each tile you run on is between these spikes, you'll never get hit by them, but you have to get a running start. If you start running from a tile adjacent to the spikes, you'll get hit, so as long as you get that running start, all you need to worry about is these green things here, and those are easily dodgeable if you time it right. You end up with a few ticks to spare, so even if you're not tick perfect, you should be able to get the perfect Krondus room every time. Bruh, that is... wow. What a shit chest. Jeez. Okay, that raid sucked. That was like a 4 down in Warden's P2, since I didn't have any liquid adrenaline from the supply drop. Oh shit, that's purple. Okay, I am looking for the ring, but I guess I'd be happy with pretty much anything except the ward. Even if it's like another Fang or something, that is good money for the main, so we'll see what we get. And we get a Masori mask. Cool. Let me think about what that means for a second. So let's talk about the Masori armor set. Masori armor is the best range armor in the game. Not only is it best in slot for ranged attack bonus, beating out the previous best in slot of the Armadillo armor set, it's also the only armor in the game to have ranged strength bonus. Traditionally, ranged strength has always been limited to weapons and ammo, with some exceptions like the Ava's Assembler and the Necklace of Anguish, but this is the first actual armor set to have ranged strength. For reference, the range strength bonus of the mask is equivalent to like an Ava's Assembler or Zerite Band Braces. I've been thinking about what I want to do with this thing, and I think I've come to the conclusion that this is going to replace my Crystal Helm entirely. It's a bit tricky to compare the Masori mask to the Crystal Helm, and that's because the Crystal armor set has a special passive effect when paired with the Bow of Ferdinand, which is my main ranged weapon right now. Each piece of the set gives bonus accuracy and damage when using it, so switching to the Masori mask is actually a very slight DPS downgrade from the Crystal Helm. However, there's a lot of reasons to make the switch anyway. First of all, the Crystal Helm is degradable, so I have to keep recharging it with Crystal Shards. The Masori mask is completely non-degradable on the other hand, I can use it as much as I want. It's also tradable, which means I can put it in a looting bag, which is really important for cases where I'm doing dangerous things, so I can't be death banked, but I'm also not using my ranged armor. Otherwise it would have to be in my inventory and not my bag. And finally, when I eventually get the full Masori set, it will be storable in the POH, which is huge. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna revert my Crystal Helm to an armor seat and drop it over to the main for like 4 mil or whatever, and then just use this as my ranged helm now for TOA. Maybe chambers, really anywhere I'm gonna be using my bow. Oh, and if I eventually get a twisted bow in the distant future, or if I'm ever using the toxic blowpipe, the Masori mask is the true best in slot because that crystal armor bonus just does not apply to other weapons. I am so happy to have gotten my first TOA unique since the Shadow, even if it's not the ring that I was looking for. For reference, the Lightbearer ring is about a 1 in 3 from a purple chest, and the mask is a 1 in 12, so we'll still be getting that ring soon. That said, I am really excited to try this mask out.